It's the chosen one back with another video. Today's going to be a very special video. I'm going to be talking about how I was able to manifest God getting in a federal building. Most of my videos is basically teaching how the power of God when you trusting in God. It's very important to keep your faith whenever you're going through. But let's get right into the video. This was a video I was working for a moving company. I just started a moving company and I was new on the job. Approximately about 2 weeks in. So in the moving company, you got to go to the loading dock, and then most of the supervisors will be on hand, and then they'll tell the workers, okay, you're going to be pairing up with me. So long story short, I get to work. I was rushing. I don't remember too much, but I know I was rushing that day. I get to work. One of the employees, his name was David. David came to me and said, listen, you're going to be working with me today. We're going to go pick up about 400 boxes. During that time, he was doing record storage. So he basically told me, okay, you got to make sure you have your ID. That way, we'll go into the building, we'll pick up the 400 boxes and then bring it back to the loading dock, and then they'll give us another assignment. So he said, just make sure you have your ID. So when I was looking, I didn't have my ID. And then I realized that I left my ID home. That was because I was rushing. You know, I was new on the job. I must have woke up late and didn't want it to be late. Even though I woke up late, I like to wake up like 30 minutes before I leave. But at that time, it was already the time that I actually supposed to leave. So I didn't have time to check everything to make sure I have everything on me. So I'm at the job, and David asks me, do I have ID? Then I tell him I don't have my ID. He looks at me and say to me, okay, you're going to have to go into the office and let them know you don't have ID. They're going to pair me up with another person because I can't do this by myself. So I looked at David and I said, listen, I know I'm new on the job. Just trust me. I'll get into the building. And he looked at me. I'm trying to think outside the box. He probably looking at me, okay, this guy is new. I've been on this job more than 5 years. I know the system. I know the rules. And this is a new employee just coming on the job telling me that he's going to get in the building. So I can only imagine that what he was thinking of. So when he looked at me, he like, nah, you're going to have to, you're going to have to go and let them know. And then I said to him, I'm like, listen, I just started this job. I'm not going in the office because, no disrespect to you, I'm not going into the office because if I go into the office, they're going to send me home. And I came here to work. I'm not allowing me to lose any type of money. And then up top of that, this is a new job. I don't want to I don't want them to think that I'm a irresponsible worker. So trust me, I would get in the building. He said, God gonna let me get in the building. So when I said God going to allow me to get in the building, he got kind of upset. He like, God is going to allow you to get in the building? I was like, yes. So he looked at me again. And I can understand as I'm telling the story. When things is happening, I try to put myself in the other person's shoes if I was in their shoes. So I understand why he was getting upset. But when he looked at me and said, listen, God gonna get you in the building, I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm sure I'm gonna be in that building just with you picking up, the boxes. He said, we gotta pick up 200 boxes. He said, let me explain something to you. He said, when we go to this building, the first thing we're going to go to the sub-level. They're going to have, dogs. They're going to have being as a federal building, they're going to have a federal agent come out with a canine dog, and the dog going to sniff the truck and stuff. He said, that's the first step. Then you got to give your ID. That's the second step. And then after it clears that, we're not carrying any bombs or anything like that, it's going to go in this sub-loading dock into an elevator, and then it's going to drop down in the sub-basement. He said, I've been doing this for so long. I think it's just best for you to go in the office. And I understand you don't want to, lose any money. So I allow him to talk. I said, listen, Dave, we wasting too much time here. I understand you've been on the job 5 years. I'm not trying to say anything disrespectful, but I'm going to get in that building. God going to get me in the building. He looked at me for the last time, and he gave me the look like he was angry. When I mean angry, he was angry. So he said, all right, let's go. So we go in the truck. I'm in the truck. I'm in the passenger. He's driving there. Now, where we was working, it must have taken like 45 minutes. I mean, complete silence. He did not say nothing. You ever been in a situation that you in a room or a close area with someone and you know that person is upset at you, but you can just feel the heat coming from the energy or the heat or the anger or whatever that person is going through? You can just feel it in the room or the atmosphere. That's what I was experiencing in the truck. So the whole ride, he just like this, angry, upset. I'm telling myself, God, I don't know how I'm going to get in this building. I don't want to focus on what, my co-workers doing. David, just allow me to get in this building so I can help. So I started applying the secret, which is my faith. I started activating my faith. Everyone has this ability to activate. In any moment, the devil may try to discourage you or try to block you, but you have to stay in that moment and stay positive and believe that God can get you through. So the whole time, instead of me focus on what the driver was doing, my co-worker, I was thinking, okay, I'm helping him taking boxes out the building. Some way, somehow, God, you got to get me in this building. So let me turn this on. So we get to the loading bay. Exactly what David said, my co-worker said was going to happen. We go to the first checkpoint. The officer came out with the K9. They started sniffing the truck. And then David did something. He said, listen, stay in the truck. I'm going to go and hand the ID. Now, this is the point that once you're going to get to this point in the story, when something like evil force trying to stop you from and prevent you from getting in the building, you're going to learn at the end of the story what David have done. So David goes into he tells me to stay outside. I'm in the truck. He goes in the loading dock to speak to the other, to basically go to the second checkpoint to give the IDs. So the officer asked David for his ID and my ID. And then David said, listen, my partner outside, he don't have any ID. And he said, you going to allow him to get in the building. And he said, God going to help him get in. So the guy looked at him and said, what are you talking about? David repeat again, my partner outside, he don't have any ID. And he's saying his miracle God going to get him into this building. So now, the officer was upset. He like, it's a miracle God going to get him in the building? Tell him to come here. I'm going to tell him to his face that he's not getting in. I'm not losing my job. This is a federal building. Let me remind you, they did 9/11 during that time, 9/11, and a couple of years passed from that. So they was very, very strict downtown in New York City. You couldn't go anywhere in any federal building. It was strict. You needed to have your ID. So let me get back to the story. So David comes out smiling and laughing. Now I'm puzzled. I'm like, whoa, why is he coming out smiling and happy now? The whole ride we was going there, he was like uptight. You can feel the anger. You can feel the energy coming out his pores. That's how tense it was in that vehicle. Even though nothing was being said, but you can feel the tension. You can feel the anger. But he comes out smiling and happy. Now, where I'm from, it's either two things can happen. He either say something sneaky or he helped me to, to try to get in the building. And he's happy that we about to move these boxes. So I look, my spirit told me, don't worry about it. Don't focus on whatever he's doing. It was strange that he came out smiling and joking. He said, listen, the officer want to see you and he want to tell you something. So it was like one of these loading dock. We was going up the ramp, and then I seen like a tall figure person. He was very tall. He was ready, but I can see by his body language, he was already upset. So I know David must have told him something. So this guy was ready. I can just tell by the body language. He was like ready. And then I see he was probably like 6'5". I seen this tall 6'5" guy going down. He was like squinching his eyes trying to see who I was. So he went just like this, lower, lower, as I'm going up the ramp, me and David, because they already passed the first checkpoint. It was ready for us to pass the second checkpoint. So he looked at me. He like, oh, T, I ain't see you in since junior high school. He ran up to me, picked me up. He like, yo, T, what's good? I didn't see you since junior high school. I was shocked. I was like, oh, what up, Jovanda? I gave him a pie, like, what's good? Now, me and Jovanda in junior high school, we went to junior high school together. We was on the same basketball team. We won multiple trophies in basketball. We was like very close. When I mean very close. But, once a lot of guys went to high school, everyone in the neighborhood just started going their separate ways. But we won a lot of trophies together. So he was very happy to see me. And I haven't seen him in about, a long time. So when he ran up to me like, oh, what up? Picked me up. And then now David, he's looking like, what is going on? He was like dumbfounded. Like he couldn't understand. So Jovanda looked at me like he snapped out of whatever he was doing, acting like a little kid because it was a surprise. He forgot he was at work. So he looked at me. He gave me that look like, T, let me tell you something now. Jovanda, he was very in the streets. What I mean in the streets, most of the time basketball kept us out of trouble. Now, the way he directly told me how everything went, he didn't really care who my coworker was because he was like that person. He didn't care. He was from the streets. But I'm grateful that he changed his life and everything worked out. So he looked at me like, yo, T. He said, first he looked at my coworker. He said, T don't need no ID. He's going straight in. So Dave was shocked, like his eyes big. Everything was shocked. I'm shocked because I'm trying to figure out, like, once I seen Jovanda, I was like, oh, I'm getting in. God made a way. I said that immediately to myself. God made a way. I'm getting in here. But I didn't want to just step over him. David had to tell me that it's okay. He said, Ty don't need no ID. He said, T, get in there. So he said, but let me explain something to you, T. He was like, yo, he said, in front of him, he said, your co-worker came up in here telling me that you don't have no ID, that your miracle God going to get you in this building. And I was ready. He like, yo, T, you know me. He said, you know me. I was ready. I was amped. I was hyped. That's why I came out my booth to go to the end of the loading dock just to scream or bark, to do whatever I'm good at. He said, I was ready. And then, let me turn this down because the enemy trying to stop this story. So he said, I was ready. He said, pretty much your coworker did that. And he looked at my coworker and he said, it must be a God. Whatever T told you, whatever he said he was getting in, it must be a God for me to work here, because I never vouch it for anyone. This is a very important job, but I'm allowing him to get in the building. And I was giving him a pound like, yo, thanks, Joran. I appreciate you. I ain't seen you in a while. Much love. I'm grateful that, we was able to play ball and share that bond as, teenagers, growing up. He said, and I was like, I love you. Nice to see you. So we leave. Now David, he's just dumbfounded. He couldn't understand. He couldn't understand anything. I'm a very humble person. Now we in the third checkpoint. We in the loading dock with the vehicle. He was just shocked. David was completely shocked. Couldn't understand. I knew what was happening because God always come through for me when I'm trusting in God. So I'm a humble person. That's why God allowed me to become a chosen one. I'm very humble. When these situations, it's nothing that I'm trying to prove to anyone. I just want to share and let people know the goodness of God, how powerful God is when you trusting in God. So long, we in the loading dock like, yo, Dave, don't worry about it. God just wants you to know that he's real. Take this as a lesson learned. You can have anything that you want if you trust in God. And later during the line, when I started working more at that job, I learned that he don't believe in God. So what's the coincidence? God was basically showing him that I'm real. Set this whole orchestrate up to let him know I'm real. So, we was able to pick up the boxes and leave exactly how I imagined because I trusting in God. And I want you to know that you can do the same thing. This channel is all about sharing the secret. All the secrets that I went throughout my life is not normal. You understand? It's like God showed me how to maneuver throughout this world when you trust. And that's the main reason why I'm on YouTube, to really teach, there is a way that you can have an abundance life if you trust in God. And that's the main reason why I'm on YouTube, to share all the amazing stories and share different viewpoints on how, we think as an individual and how the enemy tried to block us, block our blessing, but we're not allowing that to happen. So join my family. God has so much more for you to understand, for you to go through, for you to, God want to be there in your life. It's no coincidence that you came across this channel and you found this video. Hit that subscribe button. I'm not just saying hit the subscribe button for my benefit. It's a lot more that I need to share that it can impact and help your life, because my testimony is glorifying Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And if God done it for me, he can do it for you. I'll see you in the next video. Love, peace, happiness. It's the chosen one. Bye.